series, but we've got another TVT here.
Indeed we do. So we do have something for us. Over here in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner map, we have the red Terran player coming down to represent Pakistan. Going to be playing for Team Red Dragons. We have the player I steal many builds from. He is RazerBlader.
And as I do the other player, Yaku, sometimes this happens. Can you check your audio? Oh boy.
Is Microsoft being Microsoft again?
It sounds like it. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the Australian Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Legacy Esports. It is Azure.
Yep, Microsoft is being Microsoft again.
Oh my god, you sound
Pumped my mic boost up to 96 for some reason.
You sound so much more smoother. Oh my god, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure we have a lot to go through about these two players. I mean, I think we know them decently well enough, but before we do all of that, like, can we just appreciate, finally, they have their appropriate colors. The Red Dragons player is in red, Azure is in blue.
Mm-hmm.
They've been talking about this for quite some time. I know throughout the ANZ champ especially, Azure was saying, man, how could they give me red?
Yeah.
I'm Scottish. How could they give me red?
Throughout the entire weekend, they forced Azure to be red, as you know, the different colors do correlate with the different seedings. And RazerBlader, like every now and then he was red, sometimes he was blue, but this is it. We're here. It's all making sense. But what doesn't make sense? Hey, one of these players, they're being eliminated today.
In that they are, and again, maybe it's not quite the shocker of Probe or Risky getting knocked out, but Azure, we know him very much from, a lot of the events that we cast. He signs up very, very often for a lot of these weekly events. He is always looking to be a contender, but I really like what I think it was either Maynard or Pig mentioned yesterday. He always seems to be overshadowed by his fellow Terran players down under.
Yeah.
By the likes of Seether, by the likes of Hut. But if there's one matchup that Azure definitely shines in, I would say it's his TVT.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we've casted his TVT before. We've casted him versus Seether a couple of weeks ago in Demi C Weekly, which is a bi-weekly tournament where they juked it out in a best-of-5 finals, and Seether ended up taking it, but it was a 3-2. So Azure, like, this is the matchup where he can really shine, and sure, as you were saying, he does get outshined by Seether. Like, he is in Seether's shadow a little bit, but this year, at least over the past 6 months, like Azure, he's just been propelling like forward when it comes to his skill. He's been doing better and better, and now he can finally show it off here in DreamHack Winter.
That he definitely can. But let's not forget about RazerBlader over here, Old Mate Raza, first time making it to the main event of the DreamHack Winter for Oceania and rest of Asia. I do believe that last season kind of didn't work out too well for him. Ended up lowest in the group, if I'm not wrong, for ANZ champs. But yeah, I'm just really excited that we now get to see what both of these players do. It's also been a while since Azure was in the main event, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, Raza, he had a hard time against the Southeast Asian Zerg players, but here he's up against the Terran, and Azure, he's coming in with the Reaper advantage. He's trying to focus down the Cyclone.
And he will be able to get it. I do not see any SCVs in sight to be able to take that out. Eventually, RazerBlader does clean up this offense, but 6 SCVs already taken out. The Cyclone, I don't even know how many Hellion Reapers were taken up by RazerBlader there. Actually, I can just check. 1 Reaper and 1 Hellion. Well,
yeah, I mean, like, Azure, he did go for a more aggressive opener. He did have that reactor on that Rax. He was pumping out as many Reapers as he could, going for this big attack, and he traded okay. Like, he was able to focus down that Cyclone, right? But in the end, he did end up losing a lot more gas.
Indeed, he did. They're actually tied for the amount of minerals lost. And sure, Azure got some pretty good damage, taking out 6 SCVs earlier on, but look at that. the supplies are already even for the worker count.
Yeah, exactly. And I will be honest, yeah, cool. I still need to get used to this new UI when it comes to, like, yeah, I don't know what it is about the fonts or maybe like the positioning, but yeah, it's something that we have to get used to.
You just gotta associate colors, is how I feel. Yellow is workers, because, you know, hard hats and you got the caution signs and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Orange is army, because code orange.
Yeah. No, I like the yellow for workers. You know, it's like they have the high vis. You know, it's good.
Exactly. They need to wear the vests. I know they're pretty big on that down under in Australia.
Is that not? Oh yeah, I remember talking to like a couple of people from like other regions. It's like, nah, yeah, they don't. That's not a thing. You know, screw safety. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Who even needs that?
Exactly, but we are getting into the CVT, and I think one of the other things that I love about Azure, in general, not just in this matchup, is like the different ways that he can play. Like he's not afraid to proxy, he's not afraid to play mech if he has to. Like he can do everything.
Oh, absolutely. I'll probably say that Azure is the most versatile Terran player from this particular region. He's got a build for just about everything, but I mean, if we could cast Seether versus RazerBlader, I'd have mentioned it last night, but I'll mention it now. RazerBlader is maybe not as diverse as someone like Azure is, but he really is a player who thinks about his builds and will really decide, okay, what works best on this map, what works best against this particular player on, you know, this particular match at this particular time of the series, and that's kind of what he prioritizes before going into, you know, the other things to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see how this shapes up. Again, at TVT, it's a very positional matchup. I say positional now in this moment because the two armies are kind of missing each other, and Azure, he's quite close to sieging up to the main base. He scans, he doesn't see where the army is.
And he decides to take a bit of a chance, jumps right on top of there. But meanwhile, RazerBlader making it pretty close to Azure's main, who is gonna make it out with more casualties. Let's find out. Good use of the interference matrix. Both of them taking this very, very seriously, trying to evacuate as quickly as they can.
Yeah, and oh my god, even though Azure was the first to siege up into the natural, RazerBlader is the first to go into the main, and now he's sieging up on top of the production. Azure, he's still not quite in there. He still has to break through the supply depots, and game one, mate, we may end up just in a base trade.
How else are we gonna start off a TVT? I will point this out though. Azure, sure, RazerBlader's right on top of his main, but look at his natural CC. He's actually floating it far, far away. Okay, maybe just keeping it a little bit by the third base. But yeah, RazerBlader not quite as vigilant or diligent with chasing that down compared to Azure here.
Yeah, and this is worrying because Azure, he's not in the main yet, and like the production is still going for RazerBlader. Like he's getting more and more tanks out, sieging them up, making it even more difficult for Azure to break in.
It is going to be pretty difficult for him, but I don't think it should be too much. He has got the much, much better air advantage right now. And again, that CC still in the air for him. Still looking to get something done. Is there any anti-air here? No, there's not. And the tanks are so vulnerable right now. The SCVs cannot heal them. And with that, the Vikings jump right back up. And yeah, things aren't looking too good for a red Terran player.
The Vikings go up, Vikings go down. You can't explain that. Meanwhile, RazerBlader, who was a lot faster at clearing up the entire base, has only 2 depots, and that floating natural do escape. And meanwhile, everything else is going down here in the main base, and RazerBlader, he's coming back. He's going to try and take out the army of Azure.
Is he, or is he just going to try to turtle up here with his bases? A lot of them are on fire. His buildings are. But he knows that he's got the better army, going in with the SCVs as well, just trying to get as much of a buffer as possible, but mistiming the army a little bit there.
Oh my god, but the Ravens going in.
To exact wrong time to unsiege Azure.
Oh god, he unsieges his tanks, and now everything goes down.
GG is called, and RazerBlader takes game number 1. I don't remember too much from that game, Light. I just remember a whole lot of burning buildings. I gotta be real honest with you there.
Oh my god, what even happened that game? GG, we ended up in this base trade. Azure, he was just a little bit slower, it took a little bit more time to get into that main base and clean things up, and we need a moment to digest what just happened. We'll be back after this break.
And we are back. And all right, I think I've just about processed everything that went on in that 10-minute TVT. So much action happened. And I guess we just want to point out here, I was talking to Raza a little bit before this game started, as we were just waiting a little bit for things to get on the way, and he mentioned that he was pretty worried because he never played against Azure before, doesn't really know how he should sort of play. I feel like he understands Azure more than he may have thought.
I mean, you say that, but at the same time, it was kind of clear cut in that, like Azure, he was sneaking around, the regular center pathway to the main base of RazerBlader. Meanwhile, RazerBlader was just going straight through the center, and we just ended up in this base trade, and it just kind of, things landed where they fell, or fell where they landed, and I just think
went from 0 to 100 just like that.
Yeah, I think Azure, he needed to be a little bit more decisive, right? Because even though he initiated the attack first, he hit the natural first, it took him a long time to get into that main.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But again, it was also close towards the end there. Azure managed to leverage his air advantage into actually taking out RazerBlader's floating buildings towards the end there. Could have been either one to win, but in the end it was just Razer. But in the end, we go on to game number 2 on Submarine LE. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner with reverse colors. We have the Red Terran coming down from the land of Brisbane. He is going to be representing Legacy Esports. He is Azure. Hi.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Submarine LE, we have the Pakistani Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Red Dragons. We have RazerBlader.
Old mate Raza going off against good old Krug.
Yeah, and
I mean, what? How do people spell his name nowadays? Because nobody spells it Craig anymore.
Oh no.
I've seen Krug. I've seen Craig.
Well, I mean, so forgive me because we are a little newer to the scene. Maybe 2017, 2018. I don't know the reasoning why they call him Krug. They just do. I don't know if there's a meme behind it. If there was this one time someone started it and then everyone just kept doing it. I don't know.
It's like Grack.
Yeah. I guess.
Like
we need someone to figure this out and then put it on his Wikipedia trivia. That's what we need.
Damn, he's the one to ask that one. He knows Azure.
Oh boy. And we'll see, as this was Azure's map pick, and I've talked about this before. Azure, he's not afraid of submarine. He embraces the submarine.
Exactly. He lives here on the LE submarine. He knows exactly how to take advantage of it, all of these little Reaper jump points and whatnot, as it's something that both of them are gonna look to abuse here with their mirror builds.
Yeah,
okay, it's not mirrored anymore.
I mean, Azure, he's quite fond of going for a couple more. I mean, I was about to say a couple more Reapers, but at the end of the day, they do have the same amount of units out at the moment. RazerBlader just sneaking in, delaying that natural a little bit.
Yeah, which can definitely help. I mean, do not underestimate how much an advantage can snowball in a mirror matchup. Obviously, we talk about TVP, or TVT rather, and how one good engagement can just swing everything into favor. But considering both players are sort of going for the same strategy for the moment, it's pretty important to get your economy up quicker.
He's hiding the
this is so smart from Azure. That was a genius move coming out here from Azure, hiding that Widow Mine, baiting RazerBlader right onto it, and now he's taking the initiative. He knows how badly weakened these units from Razer are.
Exactly. Now he's pushing across the map. He has to be careful because one of the Hellion was a little bit too far forward, so it does get focused down.
Yeah, Hellions are slightly faster than Reapers, if I'm not mistaken, over there. And Azure should be able to take this out, but now there is a Cyclone. It'll be preventing the scouting from Azure.
Oh my god, and I'm sure he has to be careful with his rally.
Hello? Marines?
Yeah, it's okay. They're coming back home. It's okay. It's okay. We're good.
Yeah, they were just out for routine exercise, getting their cardio in before the main, before stuff hits the ceiling.
Exactly, and I love that. Like, that was such a smart play. It was able to give Azure that advantage when he was down in terms of, the amount of Reapers that he had available to him, so it was cool. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to, like, snowball that into something else, but again, it was nice.
Indeed, it was. Yeah, you have to imagine that Azure may have been hoping for that when he picked Submarine.
Oh.
Just trying to snowball with a counterattack. Very nicely done. Able to take out that one alien and will alert Azure that a Cyclone is in the premises. Look at that beautiful spread of Marines here.
I was about to say,
no splash damage from Hellions.
Exactly, like every single time, like Azure, there's just a way that he controls all they do. He just sets up his units, and we were talking about this, right? TVT is all about that positioning, and the majority of the time, like, he's able to outposition his opponent, able to outposition someone like Seether. But again, we are quite early on here, but he has like some. I keep saying nice moves. I don't know. It's like he's styling a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, he's pretty confident with his positional play, and why not try to flaunt it? Getting a little spot of Marines over here, but RazerBlader is being very active with this Hellion. He's trying to deny as much information from Azure as possible, and I mean, you talk about the positional plays, and you kind of need vision when you're going to be playing that style.
Oh yeah, definitely, and something that, we do see a little bit of a difference here. Azure, he's already having his 3rd CC finishing up. Meanwhile, RazerBlader, he himself was focusing a little bit more on his own production, producing a pretty decent army, already 3 tanks out for him. We'll see if he utilizes that. Again, Submarine, because it's such a small rush distance, like the rallies across the map are like incredibly, insanely fast.
Yeah, this is the map you want to use for parade pushes. And yeah, I guess this is kind of similar to game number 1, RazerBlader wanting to be a bit more aggressive, but Azure not going to be falling too far behind with his own timings. So we'll see. Stim already about halfway done for both of these players. It is anyone's game to just pull the trigger.
Yeah, at the moment they're both being very conservative. They're both being very reserved in their army.
Razas Yakuker! Sorry, not terrible, because it is the CC, so he's going to be looking to lift that eventually, but alright, couldn't take it. Could not wait for that.
Yeah.
Needed that tank right out there.
That's one of the things where if you're playing Terran, like, you have to have a good SimCity, otherwise things like that could happen, and it looks like he's even throwing down a Deeper here to force the tank to pop out on a different side. Interesting.
That's actually pretty smart. I should utilize that.
you actually should. Alright, and now
RazerBlader pushing out right now. Try to see what he can get done. No Medivacs with this army, but Stim will be finishing up. But Azure already wise to that, thanks to that spotter Marine. Already sieged up very nicely over here. And Raza, he's going to have a hard time pushing in that. Backs away.
Yeah, nicely done. I love the way Azure is using all these Marines as spotters, as kind of overlords, to make sure he's aware of where the army of RazerBlader is moving, so he doesn't get caught off guard, so he's able to make sure he's sieged up and ready for it.
Yep, but RazerBlader, he just does not have the patience for that, it seems. Goes in with the interference matrices and does disable a lot of these tanks. Gets a couple of auto turrets as well. Lands the Vikings just to get more DPS out right now. But has his opportunity gone by? I mean, the interference matrices already ran out.
Yeah, they already ran out, and because of that, Azure, he has been able to retain his position here. I don't believe any of his tanks died. I think they were just interference matrix, and then they, it ran out again. So, yeah, Azure, so far is able to hold on to his workers. At the same time, he goes for a bit of a... Oh, he actually sent his Marine there, but it just met its end.
F for that one Marine, and yeah, a little bit of standoff right now. Azure, ideally he'd land these Vikings on top of these tanks. And he could have the opportunity. The Vikings and Marines are a little bit out of position right now, but does not want to take that risk whatsoever. He knows that doing that will just, make him risk losing his air advantage.
I was about to say, if he does that, then
super key.
Yeah, if he does that, he would just risk, or he probably would just lose all his Vikings and just forfeit air superiority to his opponent. So it can be really risky to do so. I mean, he just has to buy a little bit of time to get enough energy with his Raven. Or not even, he just gets a Liberator.
That he does. And I'm loving the positioning as well. With this one tank of Azure, it is completely cutting the army of RazerBlader in half. Look at that. Liberator already dealt with. Azure trying to go for this counter flank. And it doesn't quite work out too well for him, but the bio count has been taken out. The Vikings landing right on top of Azure's base. And they are cleaning up the mineral line. Azure,
exactly.
He pulls the trigger.
Yeah, I was a little bit concerned. I was like, yo, where did all the Vikings go for RazerBlader? He went into the mineral line. He killed 12 drones, sorry, 12 SCVs. In the end, they do get cleaned up, but it's kind of hard to say, right? 12 SCVs went down, but at the cost of RazerBlader and all of his tanks.
Yeah, that entire army. That's it. RazerBlader has been building up back at home, and he does not quite have the air advantage at the moment. But it is still going to be a little while before Azure decides to, really press his advantage. Doesn't have any medevacs out right now. Doesn't really want to overstim these already weakened Marines.
Yeah, Azure, he just kind of has to either turtle up a little bit or try and find some other economic damage across the map. And he's doing so with his Liberator going across to hit that natural. At the same time, RazerBlader, I think he has evaded a lot of the scouting. He finally gets seen.
He's vulnerability, and he does get seen here. We'll be able to take out that tank, but a very quick reaction coming out from Azure. Very quickly jumps right on top of these tanks. We're going to be able to clear this entirely out.
Oh my god, and at the same time, the Liberator has sieged up 6 SCVs go down, and I just love the way Azure took that engagement. Like, the auto turrets were key there, able to make sure no tank fires were landing on the tanks of Azure. He was able to protect them, keep them all alive, and he just swallows up that army.
Indeed, he does. Just look at that army supply difference. Azure has a massive, massive lead. And he's being pretty cautious of it right now. He knows he's ahead in terms of that, so doesn't really want to throw it away. But now the medevacs are out, no holds barred.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a little bit more information here, making sure he knows exactly where RazerBlader's army's at. Yeah,
I mean, I would say that this army supply advantage, it's nice. The problem is in a TVT, like, it can still be difficult to utilize that. At the end of the day, it does kind of come down to the tanks. To be fair, RazerBlader, he only has 2 tanks with his main army, so he's just really lacking at the moment. I feel like he almost has to go for like a massive Dune drop with all these medevacs.
Yeah, that's definitely an option for RazerBlader right now. He's slightly ahead in terms of the economy. He has this extra base up right now that Azure is still, in production. But yeah, it's as you said, Azure may have the better army, but it is a lot more immobile of an army.
Yeah, definitely. Like, RazerBlader, he has more Marines, he has more medevacs, so he can try and utilize that to his advantage to try and outmaneuver and outposition Azure. And as you were saying, RazerBlader, he has a faster 4th base. Like, he has, for the longer time, he has had that economic advantage, that worker advantage, so he has been able to produce a little bit more, and he can get a little bit more ahead as well.
Well, we had a pretty quick game number 1, a very explosive game number 1, but it looks like things will slow down here on game number 2. This is the TVT we're used to, like.
Yeah, and this may be a problem. Like, we've seen it before when it comes to Azure, and especially in other matchups, where sometimes he is just focusing on being the defender, and he just, like, takes engagements on his side of the map, and it takes a little bit for him to be aggressive, right? And because of that, he allows his opponent to get back into this game. It happens a lot in his TVPs, and it could be happening here because Azure, he's maxed out. RazerBlader, he's not that far behind.
No, he is not, but they're about to meet right now. Azure, he's still got a much better army. He has far, far more air superiority. But we have a little bit of stalemate on this side of the map. Ribbon coming in, and very nice disable will prevent the tanks of Azure, or RazerBlader rather, from putting any damage whatsoever on Azure's side. And now Razer, he's got to back away, find another position to push into.
Yeah, we've gone to the point where, like, the advantages from earlier on just don't matter anymore. We're both getting maxed out. To be fair, Azure, he still has all those Vikings and the Ravens. RazerBlader, it looks like he's just completely given that up. He's like, you know what, I'm just committing to the ground army instead.
Yeah, which isn't terrible, but again, it's all going to come down to the positioning. Can RazerBlader get a nice little flank? Can RazerBlader avoid the tanks entirely and just go for these Marines? And it looks like Azure has the better count right now, but RazerBlader with a beautiful concave gets all of these Marines. The medevacs have been taken out right now for Raza. but the entire bio count for Azure completely gone. Look at that supply plummet.
Exactly. RazerBlader, he had the advantage in terms of the army, sorry, in terms of the Marines, as well as that concave, so he was able to just eat everything up, takes out a tank, takes out more SCVs, and because of the tanks, like Azure, he can't counterattack. Like, he just can't continue to press forward.
No, he cannot. And the Marines keep on coming in for RazerBlader right now. Azure still a little bit struggling on that count. He is producing a lot of them, but RazerBlader's got momentum behind him, and he is looking to make use of it.
Yeah, definitely. We do see they both on siege. He's looking to try and punish this fourth base here of Azure. We see that RazerBlader skyrocketing ahead in terms of that army supply. Both players kind of equal in terms of upgrades, so that Azure, he doesn't have an advantage there. And I mean, he just needs to make sure he sieges up. He needs to make sure he's in position and buy enough time to get back into this.
That he definitely does. And we're back to what I would say Azure is much more comfortable with, being the defender right now. And it's not really as if RazerBlader is choking him out. Azure's economy is looking pretty comfortable right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, he's only a little bit behind in terms of worker count, but it isn't too significant. You know, he is up to now 4 bases, you know, the same as his opponent. Again, just because he took all those losses earlier on, he just needs to recoup his losses, you know, get back up in that army supply, because RazerBlader, he's maxed out, and Azure, he's down a solid 40 supply.
Indeed, he is, but a lot of his supply are in these tanks. And that's a very healthy looking tank count. On a map like Submarine, it can be a lot harder to sort of get these flanks on top of all of these tanks, but RazerBlader goes right for it. His +3 is about to finish up, completely takes out the bio of Azure. And with that, I don't really see too much stopping him right now. What is the buffer for these tanks of Azure?
Exactly.
There is a GG's call, and RazerBlader is going to be making it to